Hello everybody, here we are today talking about NHL teams that we can stick a fork in this season. But before we get started with it, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. Being said, let's get on into it. So starting this video, I think some people could be new as we are gearing up towards the playoffs. What exactly does it mean to stick a fork in a team? Basically just means that you think that they are done and there's not really anything going for them, especially in terms of the playoffs. So there's a few teams that I want to talk about here. Honorable mention, Boston Bruins. Did not think that they would be here. But when you're talking about Brad Marchand possibly getting traded before the deadline, that's when you're like, holy cow, what in the world, Boston? This would be like the third time that they missed the playoffs in a very, very long time. Boston has been a consistent playoff side. This year, it looks like they could go out there and miss, and Brad being in a different jersey would be weird. And it would actually be kind of ironic and iconic if he ended up becoming a hero with a different team. He's always been the villain, but maybe in a different sweater, we see a different version of him. But yeah, the Bruins, honorable mention, but they still could make it. Now, kicking off this video in terms of sticking a fork in them, we have the San Jose Sharks, a team that had the worst record in the league last year. Looks like that could happen again this year. This is a side that's already been involved in some trades. And at the end of the day, just you kind of expected them to be here. They have won 2 in a row at time of recording. They are playing Colorado tonight at time of recording as well. So they could win 3 in a row, which would be pretty interesting. But I think it's pretty clear that this team is, they're on the verge and it is tough. But for San Jose, I think that, again, they aren't focused really on now. It seems odd because it seems like we keep pushing back the timeline. But at the end of the day, rookie head coach with a lot of rookies making their debuts as well. We shouldn't have expected anything crazy from San Jose, and I don't think any of us really did. It's been fun, but their time is almost up. Now, right after the debut of the Chicago Blackhawks, the second worst team in the league, a team that, again, they were expected to be a bottom feeder, and that's exactly what they are. No shame in that. They also were a team that we really thought even less of, I think, in terms of competition, as they literally just traded away Seth Jones. He was making top defenseman money, and without him being there and eating up a lot of minutes, you realize things are a little bit harder for this team. And for Chicago, I think we can also highlight the fact that their coach was fired in early December. The third head coach fired for the course of the year. There's probably a correlation between a head coach getting fired and your team not really being in the thick of it. And also, to again think back to the whole Seth Jones trade. They're getting younger players and then, of course, picks for the future. So Chicago, much like San Jose, not really headed anywhere super soon. But did you see Knight in his debut? 41 saves, heck yeah. And then you have the Nashville Predators, a team that I've kind of picked on for a decent amount of time for the year. This is a side that their players are even talking about how they have had a really weird time scoring, but never been part of a team that has struggled as much as this. A team that's been shut out a bunch, and a side that started off the year in utter chaos, winless, I believe, in their first 5 games. On top of that, too, they are starting to trade away guys. Gustav Nyquist, who just had a career year last year, is now gone, traded off to Minnesota. Then you have them possibly trading away Ryan O'Reilly. I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, I think we are all seeing the writing on the wall, and this has just been a terrible year for Nashville, which, again, we won't really harp on it too much there. Some people did not want to let it go, though. When I put out a video basically saying their season was done, people held on to the faith. But at the end of the day, this has been a team that has been done for a long while, and their time is basically out. So for Nashville, hopefully they can kind of retool for next year and get back to the thick of it. And then you have the Buffalo Sabres. Well, you make this list usually when you do something like losing 13 games in a row. I don't know about you, but that does seem like something the Buffalo Sabres would do. On top of that, in general, they just are not looking very good over the whole course of the season. They are dead last in the Eastern Conference. I guess things could be worse, but there are the persistent Dylan Cousin trade rumors, and then now the emerging talk of JJ Peterka possibly getting shipped off to the Rangers. It wasn't supposed to be like this, we all say as we cry in unison, as we are just all trying to get something going for Buffalo, because this is more of a pity thing than anything at this stage for the Sabres as the playoff drought is extended. It's kind of tough because, again, some things are going right in the northern part of New York, but at the same time as well, too, hard to talk about the positives when there are so many negatives for this team. Good news is, it does seem like if they traded away somebody like Peterka, they are looking for a return right away in terms of NHL caliber and NHL ready players. But at the same time, we're looking at a team that has got a lot of guys that are younger that are getting or have already got a decent amount of NHL games, and they still have not turned the tide. Buffalo, again, fork in them for this season. Let's hope that next year is something new. But we are going on what will be a 6-season preview for the course of the channel next year, and I am not convinced that anything is going to change. It is depressing, but guess what? At least Buffalo is consistently depressing. And then you have the Seattle Kraken, who may as well be the poster boys of what it is to be a team where you stick a fork in them. They just shipped off Yoni Gord back to Tampa Bay, mind you. And then, of course, they shipped off Oliver Bjorkstrand too, as it was a trade that ended up getting them what? Picks for the future, where we talked about for Seattle. The results just haven't been as good as they were hoping for. Then you have the whole Brendan Tanev talk about, is he going to be shipped off here? And you start to realize a little bit more that this is going to be a hard road for Seattle probably, and it might not be something where in the next couple of years they are ready to compete. And I don't know. It's very tough, and I wonder if Dan Bylsma, a coach that has won a Stanley Cup, is starting to regret taking this coaching job, mainly because the Kraken do have some good and enticing young players. But at the end of the day, too, looking at the Seattle side, especially what we're seeing in recent days, they are committed towards the future, not towards the now. And that run in the 2023 playoffs that nearly got them to the Western Conference Final certainly does feel like a long way away. And for fans in the Pacific Northwest, they are getting a taste of what Vancouver fans have been feeling for a while, which I guess is utter disappointment. And then the final team that we have is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Well, a team that I think we all kind of expected here in this regard. They are looking like they'll miss playoffs for a third straight year. This is one of the oldest teams in the league. This is a side that is not going perfectly well, and Cal Dubas is probably shaking his head as we are probably looking at an intriguing option about whether or not Carlson could be traded. And that is crazy considering how the Pens really were hoping that things could get going for them. Ultimately, though, this team is too old, and I don't think anything good is going to be going for them in the next few years besides big-name players reaching milestones. And this is going to be a awkward period, I guess, for a lot of the fans, as they have to be grateful for the championships and the really, really good regular seasons, but at the same time understand that they could be slipping into NHL mediocrity. But the bright side is, I truthfully do mean this, not being a guy that's mocking the fans, you get to see legends that could finish out their careers with you, and I think that really is special. So might not be great in terms of wins, but tune into Pens games if you are a Pens fan, because there are still important things that happen along the way. Now, ultimately, I actually have a few things to say about this when it's all said and done. At this stage of the year, I think it's good that there's really only 6 teams that are out of the mix. There are a lot of sides out east that are in the playoff conversation. By the way, I'm not sure if the fork has been in the video for the course of this. I know it's kind of at the bottom area of the screen, I'm sure, if it is in there. But anyway, talking about these things, you have out east things, of course, being fun, and then out west, I think things are actually getting better as Calgary and Vancouver have made it to where teams are still in the mix. St. Louis, talking about Binnington, possibly going out there and having, again, the push for the team in general and to try to go out and make some moves. I'm going to set this fork down. Actually, I'm going to put it down here, try not to bring it back into the screen. Then you have Utah, where they have got Karel Vejmelka, Ian Cole, and then Alex Kerfoot on extensions in recent days. And that is my way to try to pass time, as it is a fourth train to come by while I'm trying to record this video, and I'm getting very annoyed because it's 11:30 and I want to go to bed. Anyway, back to the talking point, as we were talking about, of course, the recent extensions for Utah and what we talked about with the Blues and Binnington saying we really need to make a surge here. I think that is making things fun out west, and I think it's a good statement, especially for Utah, to get some of those extensions done, especially with somebody like Vejmelka. Really, it's kind of interesting, again, not really breaking the bank, but also having him locked up for the future, is this Utah team is going to try to make the playoffs, especially now where they're not actually too far out of the conversation. And I think it's great that only 6 teams at the stage of the year, in my opinion, are truly out of it. Are there other teams that could be out of the running? Yes, probably like the Islanders and some other sides. But looking at all this, I think that there's still a chance. And that's really what it's all about, with about 20 games left in the year for a lot of teams. And at the end of all this, I think that the good thing is most of the teams that are out of the running are already kind of expected to be out of the running. You know, again, looking at teams like San Jose, looking at teams like Chicago, Buffalo, maybe, I guess, kind of. I do think it's more painful for probably Nashville especially, but Pittsburgh a little bit. But you have to be a little bit of a realist when you're looking at the Pens, and understanding as well, too, they don't have games in hand. So anyway, just a couple teams that we'll be sticking a fork in this season, and there'll be more in the coming weeks. But anyway, what are your thoughts on teams that are done for the year and we'll make the playoffs? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And good luck, all right? And I also did want to add that unfortunately I'll be at work when a lot of these trades will be going on, so I will be trying to keep up with it just like you guys throughout the day. And when I get back, maybe I'll do a recap of some crazier trades and whatnot happened. So anyway, again, everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And good luck, all right? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.